Hi, and welcome to Dramatic Knits. My name is Steve, also known as Dramatic Knits.
And I'm Callie, also known as Calsters.
And today is Sunday, September 24th, 2017. This is episode 291. If you're a returning viewer, as always, we thank you so much for joining us for another episode. And if you're new, thanks for checking us out. We hope you'll come back in the future. So, we are actually recording on Sunday. We did not think that was going to happen because what is our theme for the year? If you've been watching at least this year, our theme is...
We're always busy.
Yes, always. We thought that it was going to be midweek before we could record, but it turns out that it is a little after 7 in the evening, and we are recording, which is late for us, but hopefully the lighting will be really good. We have our hot light blinding us, which we usually have, but it's not so stark during the day. We were talking about this. But I think it'll show colors really well. So, anyway, how have you all been? Hopefully really good. Hopefully not being affected by, weather or anything else like that. It has been really warm here. We've actually had, immense heat rise and been in the 90s, and it's going to be that way for another couple of days, and then it's eventually going to drop out by the end of the week, I think, and be in about the 60s. So... yay for cold and flu season starting. But, yeah. So let's quickly recap what we've been up to, if you care to listen. I have been globetrotting, and that is going to be kind of my sub-theme to busy for the next year. Last week, I should say, Andy and I traveled down to Dallas, Texas for Stitches, Texas, and we left Tuesday evening. Stopped in Springfield, Missouri for the night and drove the rest of the way on Wednesday. And we set up on Wednesday evening. And let me tell you, while the people of Texas were very kind, everybody that we met were very kind, their interstate system is nothing to be reckoned with. Andy and myself have both done Chicago interstates, which are not for the faint of heart. But... Dallas, Texas interstates, at least, they all have 5 different names, and then you have, a 5-lane highway, tollway, actually, which there's nobody to pay tolls there. They tell you either have their system or they'll mail you a bill. So, I don't know how many tolls we went through. But that's just the tollway. Then next to the tollway, you have the highways, which are literally 4-lane street. You have one going one way on one side, one going the other way. But there's businesses and the hotels, and you just have to turn out going 60 miles an hour onto a highway. It was interesting, to say the least. So we got set up, we got to our hotel, all was fine and good. We actually had Thursday during the day with nothing to do before the market preview. So Andy actually scheduled a few excursions for us and didn't tell me. We got lost going to the first excursion, and he was freaking out because we had non-refundable tickets to this, and so that was a fun start to the day, again, due to the interstate system. Having 5 names and my GPS couldn't keep up. And so we ended up at one of the local malls there, and we did what's called the escape game, which you probably heard a lot of people doing now. Excuse me, I'm sorry, my phone needs to be turned off. And that is where they lock you in a room and you get some clues and a mission, and you have an hour to figure it out. So we did the art heist mission, and he scheduled it super early in the morning in the hopes that we would be the only 2 in the room, because they can schedule up to 8 people in this room. We were the only 2, so that was fun. I didn't really know what to expect, and you start off going, I'm too cool for school, But I kind of got into it, and supposedly we got farther than most groups, and she was like, you're super close, but then they lead you through all the clues, because we did not finish it. And Andy's like, we weren't anywhere near close, but we got into there's actually 3 rooms that you go through and get into, but it was neat. It was fun. I'd most definitely do one again. And then we went and had lunch and went back to our hotel for a little bit, and then he tried to go-karting. I was not having it, but I tried to be a good sport, but it was 97 degrees in Texas in the middle of the day. It was really expensive, and the facility was not very friendly or forthcoming. So we decided to leave that. And then we chilled before the market. And Stitches, Texas, it was great to meet all those new faces that we don't get to see on a regular basis because we're not vending out that far usually. So that was great, and it was a good event for us. And we applied, and we'll be back in Stitches, Texas next year. So next September we'll be back there, and we hope that if you weren't able to make it out this year, then you can see us there next September. Oh, and what's awesome is they were doing a vendor competition for the vendors with the most and best social media would win a free booth. I had read this, but was not aiming for it, and it actually came down between two companies, and they gave it to both of us. So Leading Men Fiber Arts actually won a free booth at any Stitches event in the next year, so we're plotting and planning where we want to use that. So thank you to all of you all who follow us on Instagram and Facebook, because that's where we got the likes, that's where we got the views, and that's where we were able to win that competition. So thank you so much. We really appreciate that.
Yet again. Oh, I don't want to do Instagram, Callie. I just don't think that would go well.
She never lets anything die, does she? You just got to point that out every time. Yes.
Just saying.
I did not want to do Instagram 4+ years ago, and we were starting the business, and Callie's like, I really think you should join this social media thing, because I was like, I don't need another social media, but Instagram's the new way of life. Now, if they just kept it in chronological order, life would be good.
So much easier.
Anyway, so we drove back. We left on Sunday after the event and drove about 4 hours and stopped in Oklahoma, in Muskogee, I think, Oklahoma. And then we did about 8 hours back on Monday. And that was a long day, but I need to get used to it. Be traveling a lot in the next year. So, yeah, and then just got to go to Knit Night on Tuesday, which was fun, and had my week. And then on Friday night, we headed over to Noblesville, Indiana, which is right outside of Indianapolis. And there's a wonderful yarn shop there called the... You want to come join me for a little bit? Okay. Ernest says hi. Cornelius is up here, but he's probably zonked
He's
out
underneath my chair.
He's sleeping under Callie. If he gets up, we'll show him that. So the Black Sheep Yarn and Fiber Arts in Noblesville, Indiana, is a wonderful full... it's a house with like a carriage house and everything. It was a really interesting shop. So they invited us to do a trunk show. So we set up yesterday morning and got to meet a bunch of wonderful people that we've met from Indiana shows and some new people. And it was great to just kind of... I like doing trunk shows because the shop actually has to do the selling. We're just kind of there to talk and catch up with people and meet new people, and so we don't have to like push the product. I mean, I'll help, I offer to help, but I don't have to be the salesman all the time. I just get to kind of relax, and I worked on my starting point shawl while I was there, which several people were like, I just finished mine, so I didn't feel so bad. One lady was like, I just wove in my ends yesterday, so because they did a knit along with their shop. So
hi.
Yeah. Oh,
hi.
She's knitting. No.
That's fine. I just was right in the middle.
So anyway, that's been my past 2 weeks. It's been very busy, and I am going to be leaving to head out of town once again on Thursday and not be back till Monday, but I'll talk more about that at the end of the show in Center Stage. So how have you been? We haven't seen you in a month, and if I've had that much to talk about in the last 2 weeks.
My last 4 weeks have been really crazy. Been really busy with work. Where to begin? My friend Sam and I have a mutual friend, our friend Reggie, who does a lot of plays and that kind of thing in the Springfield, Illinois area. And he was at the Hoogland Center for the Performing Arts. He was the Scarecrow in The Wiz, and so we went and saw him on a Friday night, and I scored us amazing tickets. I got us front row, and that was awesome. And the next night, we hung out again, and we went and saw Whose Streets. It's a documentary about Ferguson, the events around Ferguson. And so that was a very educational and interesting documentary. It was kind of done in a style that's documentary, but not documentary, but still documentary. It's kind of hard to explain. I would highly recommend seeing it. Whether you know a lot about Ferguson and the events that went on, or you're not as well versed in that. And then while we were sitting in the theater, because Whose Streets is kind of it is an independent film, but it's at a historic theater. It was shown at a historic theater in Normal, and it's called the Normal Theater, and it's on the National Historic Landmark, I think. I think either it is or it has been trying to be listed. But anyways, we were talking before the movie started, and we were like, man, The Wiz was so good, do you want to go see it again? Because they had a matinee on Sunday. We were like, I don't have anything going on, so we went and saw it again on Sunday, so that was really good. And then the work week was crazy. And then the following week, just a lot of things. This week has been interesting. We had a regional meeting in a different part of the state that I have not frequented a whole lot. And I kind of voiced my concern as this is dumb for where we're meeting. I know that sounds really mean, but it just didn't make sense. But this too shall pass. And so I had that, and then we are partnering, my job and my the gym that I go to, we're partnering for a youth program, and I'm really excited about that. So yeah, and then I had lunch with a friend today. It's just been really work-filled. It's been very stressful, if I'm going to be completely honest. And it's just been trying to keep up and trying to find balance, but that's kind of nothing new there.
Constant struggle.
Yeah. Still working out, still trying to eat better, still, trying to be the trophy wife that I know I can be. So
I'm trying to eat better too. I went to McDonald's for dinner tonight, and I got one of the signature sandwiches for the first time. To me, that means healthier, right? It's pretty good.
What signature sandwich did you get?
This sweet barbecue onion thing. It was good for the first couple bites, and then it almost got to be a little bit too much. But I did enjoy the chicken sandwich. I'm like, why can't you have decent chicken and decent rolls on all your sandwiches? I know it wouldn't be as cheap as, say, the McChicken, but...
I do love me a good McChicken every once in a while. I will say, so, I have been, I don't know if I've mentioned this or not, but there is a local, yeah, I have. There's a local meat shop in, 3 blocks or so away from where I work. And I've been getting their monthly bundles where you get a whole bunch of different meats for $30. And I've been freezing them and then taking out things here and there once a week. And this past week I took out, they had 2 8-ounce seasoned ribeye steaks in the meat bundle. And my mom and I had those for dinner last night, and we cooked them on the George Foreman, which, bust that out. If you are not using that, that is handy as all get out. I really tamed down my language for that. But it was really good because they're all seasoned and everything. And I didn't realize this, but a couple of guys that I went to high school with are now running the shop because their parents were the owners, and they've kind of passed it down now. It's been in the shop has been in their family for a number of years, so that makes me feel a little bit better now too. So those were delicious.
Good. All right. Knitting, fiber, yarn.
What?
This is a show about that. Anyway, all right. So let's talk about what we finished. Okay, this isn't technically listed in the show notes because it's not really a project, but it did bind off and woven ends. So I am going to be continually working on this. It's going to be an ongoing project for a long time. But I have this new dream now that in the booth, the Lydia and Fiber Arts booth, it shows, we will have, starting off with 1 binder, but eventually moving to probably 3. Flip books, almost like a carpet book, where you see carpet samples and things like that. And with a knitted swatch, a hefty knitted swatch of each colorway, so that you can get an idea. And I showed Callie, I bought a little marquee lighted sign that says LMFA headshots, like when you go to an audition, you have to have a picture on your resume. So I think it's super cute. I'm working on them. I've had about 3 of them done, which I showed you last time, but I got about 4 more done while in Texas, and it's done. So these are ones I've knit hats out of previously already. So my goal is to knit a hat for charity, and then also a swatch with the leftovers of each new color and previous colors as we get to them. So these I finished. This is Steady Beat and Tequila Sunrise.
And these are all in the box office space,
yeah,
correct?
worsted, because I need to turn it out.
Turn it out.
Plus, I think you can see the colors in the stitches pop a little bit more, especially when I'm taking pictures for the website as well. This is Apocalypse. And then last but not least, we have Grease Lightning. That's blowing out a little bit because of the bright light, but it's a nice speckled colorway. So those are done and blocked. Let me tell you, blocking does do wonders, because these are pretty much a curled mess before I block them, but they keep their shape pretty well, at least the ones that I've traveled to Texas with. So these are going to get labeled. I try to make them approximately the same size, but I think, depending on my mood, really, the hats that I've knit might use a little more yarn and whatnot, so they're not all going to be the exact same size. And I say they're about 11 by 11 inches, but I just kind of zhuzh them out. I don't actually get out the blocking board and measure them. So that's what I've finished. That's it in the 2 weeks.
I have not finished anything. I'm not going to try to pass that off. But I did weave in my ends on my Snow Day shawl, aka my Toronto Maple Leafs fandom shawl. And I was super excited because I got the ends woven in before the preseason game. Amazing. I know we didn't win the first 2 games, which I'm kind of whatever. But we won the last 2 games, and they're playing tonight too, or tomorrow night. They're playing tomorrow night.
All right, let's talk about what's on our needles then, as I hit my glasses with my show notes. Let me show you the Starting Point Mystery, which is no longer a mystery, knit along by Joji Locatelli. I am firmly in clue 3, at the end of it actually, so then I can move into clue 4, and then I get to put the 2 pieces together in clue 5. So, I'm back into the twisted ribbing section. I'm like, and I worked on this in the car until I had no light left, and I'm trying to do twisted ribbing, knit and purl, and I'm like, I gotta stop. Plus the rows take 3 times as long as just a plain stockinette row. So, here we are. Again, this is my second half. This is all knit out of Leading Men Fiber Arts Show Stealer, which is a merino cashmere nylon blend. And the black is Darkest Hour, the gold is Smoky Quartz, the gray is London Fog, the green is Double Your Pleasure, and the speckle is been custom dyed for me, though it may eventually become a colorway of the month, and I'll probably call it Starting Point, I think. So, stay tuned for that.
Nice.
And that's knit on, I think, a size 6 US 4mm needle. Alright, next, my Day to Remember shawl by Joji Locatelli has not seen a lot of love in the last 2 weeks, because it did not go with me to Texas, and I was gone for pretty much a week. And then I don't think I've picked it up since then. So, just haven't had a whole lot of time. I forced myself to bring that Starting Point with me to travel, and brought nothing else to work on, because I've not been giving that the love. This is knit out of Madeline Tosh Prairie in the Cove colorway on a size 6 US 4mm needle. And again, I'm even in the middle of a row, so, mad props there. It's a bunch of garter stitch with simple eyelets coming in from opposing ends of the shawl. It's been a while since I've worked with lace weight too, and progress takes forever. Next up for me is my grandma's favorite microfiber blanket that is a rhombus shape, as I talked about last episode. I haven't picked this up until tonight since Texas, so it hasn't seen much love, but it is still pretty big. So, sorry. So yeah, it'll be a point at the top and a point at the bottom, and go in an angled way. And I'm not good at figuring out how to shape knitted items yet, I guess. So, but it'll point down and cover your feet. It'll point up and come right to your chin, and it'll do what it needs to do. So, this is knit out of Bernat Baby Blanket in the Little Sandcastles colorway in a size 11 US 8mm needle. So, there's that, and I think I'm about halfway-ish done, and it's already hitting my feet and coming up to here, so it'll be a decent size. And then lastly, let me show you my sweater. I showed you last episode that I started the Flax by Tin Can Knits, and I'm knitting it out of Barocco Vintage Colors in number 5220, which is Cafe Latte, and I'm knitting it on a size 6 and 8 US, which is a 4 and 5mm needle. And while I was in Texas, I was able to split off for the sleeves.
Nice.
And start down the body. So I am alternating skeins as if this were almost a hand-dyed. It is not as commercial, but it is variegated, and I wanted to avoid pooling or flashing as much as possible.
Was I with you when you bought this sweater quantity?
This was just a spare-of-the-moment clearance sale. So here we are, a little bunched up on the body, but I'm excited. It looks like something.
Mm-hmm. Looks like sweater.
I know. It's crazy.
Totes crazy.
So you can see, a little bit more of the lighter colors on this side than this side, but I think it's still overall breaking up. I'm happy with the way the colors are playing. So, and you can see the garter stitch detail on the sleeve caps there. That'll continue down the sleeves when I pick them up. So I'm super excited. Hopefully it'll fit. I don't care if it's a little oversized. I knit it to be oversized. I'm knitting the 51-inch chest, which I am not a 51, but the next size down was a 47, and that's exactly what I measure. And they recommend at least 2 inches of positive ease for male sweaters, and I did not want things hugging my lumps and bumps that I do have. So there's that. So my plan is to possibly knit either the Gramps cardigan or knit just the Flax Light minus the garter stitch, so just a regular top-down sweater in fingering weight in the Independent Will colorway of ours in our soliloquy base. So there's that. I haven't really worked on that much since Tuesday. Not at all, actually, since Tuesday, to be exact. And that's pretty much it. That's all that I have on the needles right now. That's it. That's all she wrote, folks.
Nice. I'm working on 2 projects actively. The first one is knit out of Ba Manhattan in the Because I'm Happy colorway. So this is cashmere and merino, and I'm knitting it on a size 4 US, and I've made a lot of progress since the last time I've shown it. And
doesn't it just soothe your soul when you get knit on a boomerang a little bit?
It does. I actually took this to a work event that I had, or an MCOP event that I had, and I was working on it there. And then I took it to my regional meeting on Monday and was working on it there. And
it's a good portable project.
Yeah, it is. And it's not as, not that there's anything wrong with it, it's not as mind-grabbing as this next project. So the next project is the Back to School Shawl by Sarah Berghardt Abram. And it is knit in Poison Apple and Redbird Egg in, yes.
Yep, Showcase.
Yep. In Showcase. And I'm just checking myself.
Oh, I thought you were... I was just trying to help.
And this is on a size 5 US, which is 3.75 millimeter. So I am doing the Honor Roll version, which has the stripe in it. And I have Perfect. Would you mind holding this in,
Sure.
please? Thank you. So, it is quite the lengthy shawl.
It is, but you're on the home stretch.
Yeah, I am. And this is not a bad thing. But I have finished the part in the pattern that has short rows in it, and I am going to pick up in the contrasting color, or start the contrasting color. I was telling Steve before we started that I realized that I messed up, and I went back and I fixed it. So I thought, and I was like 3 stitches extra on the last little bit, and I was like, you know what, it's fine. It's fine. It's going to be fine. And so I foobarred it, and I think it's going to be fine. And we are going to roll with it, because I have taken this part out 3 times, actually. Because the first time I did it, I was like, yeah, this is not right. The second time, I was like, this still doesn't look right. And this last time, I saw it, and I realized...
Looks right to me.
Well, last night, I saw it, and I realized my mistake, and I was like, oh, Cal, you can read. Why is this difficult for you? And so I went back, and I got up super early this morning, and the house was really quiet, and I put on my iTunes on my phone, and I just like listened to my music, and I ripped it out, which was at a point that was so far gone, I was a little bit embarrassed on my reading abilities, and I was like, just do it, because it's not going to be right, and you know it's not going to be fine. And so I ripped back, and it took like half hour to do the first little bit, and then it took me like 15 minutes for the next repeats, because I was like, you got this now. You've got this now. But then about the 4th repeat in, I was like, you didn't read this last part where there is a crucial decrease. And I was like, I hate myself. And so then I was just like, 3-stitch difference, whatevs. So decreased, and it'll be fine. So that's the saga of that story. But
it's good to be challenged, though, too.
Yeah.
As much as the boomerang is great, or basic stocking it stocks, sometimes it's good to challenge yourself.
And I want this to be known. This is not Sarah's fault in the pattern, by no means. It is my lack of reading ability in myself.
Well, and the short rows is not something that either one of us do a whole lot of.
Right.
So reading, it's not the pattern, but just reading those directions and conceptualizing them, I think, is a bit challenging.
But it is a phenomenal pattern, though, I will tell you that. Because it is. I mean, it's just because I got too full of my britches and thought I knew what I was doing. And I didn't. And reading is fundamental, so but it'll be fine.
So that's it?
Yep.
Cool. All right, it'll be fine. All right, what's in rehearsal for myself? Michelle Hunter, also known as the Knit Pearl Hunter, is going to be releasing a mystery knit-along in the beginning of October. And my local yarn store is going to kind of knit along with it. So I've purchased the yarn for it. I showed you last time, and I got the second skein. This is the yarn that nope, that's not the yarn it calls for.
I totally forgot to bring
Haiku O. And this is in the Oh Wow colorway, which is color 149. This is 100% Super Baby Alpaca. And I got 2 skeins of this bright green. Something just drew me in. I don't know if it'll be for me, but I liked the color, and I purchased the buttons that go along with it. It's going to be a cabled cowl. That's all we know. So that's what's in rehearsal for me.
I totally forgot to bring. I brought the kit from Steve and Andy for the Day of the Dead mittens.
I have it in the bucket here to show
Okay,
later, so
good,
you can
good.
Callie was our first customer to buy one of those.
Yes. Really?
Yes.
You didn't tell me that.
So,
I thought...
we'll show them later, but we only have about 6 left. So, if you're intrigued, that is going to be a mystery mitten mystery knit along starting on the 4th, I believe, of October. Because there's also the read along, knit along, mystery knit along with Hands Occupied, who's doing a read along with the Night Circus and doing an infinity cowl out of our soliloquy base, and that starts on the 2nd. So it's all the mystery knit alongs going on in October.
Is that any particular colorway of the soliloquy?
I had pre-orders up for about 2 weeks. The 5 different colors that she had picked that she thought would go well with the pattern, and it was Poison Apple, Blue Steel, Sunny Side Up, Green Gables, and London Fog. Which a lot of them I have extras, so they've been updated to the shop. So there's a few skeins available in the shop now. So in case anybody didn't get in the update. But it looks very interesting. A lot of different sections and pieces, lace and motifs and things like that. So it looks interesting. So
I got super pumped. 1, because I want to read Night Circus. 2, I'm going to go on vacation here relatively soon. 3, I have London Fog on Soliloquy, which you gave me for my birthday a few years ago. And I haven't found the perfect project to go for it. So it seems like it's very kismet that it should happen.
It's funny, I used the word kismet yesterday. Don't feel like enough people use the word kismet.
It's true. The
Do you concur?
I concur.
That's my favorite word.
We, for the program that we're doing for the youth in 4-H and my gym, is called Bring Your Kid to Work, in parentheses, out. Because a bunch of us are semi-English communication nerds, and we thought of that in about 0.5 seconds, and so we just went with it. And we told it to the gym, and they were like, it took a little bit, and they were like, oh, we get it now. And I was like, I only give this guy a hard time because I can, because he's a good sport. He's a very intelligent man.
Well, let's move on then to behind the scenes. What am I spinning? I finished the Fiber Nymph Dyework 7525 BFL Silk in the Baroque colorway. And I got 286 yards of a 2-ply sport weight, which looks like this. It's a light sport, but according to the yardage, it's about a sport weight. So I'm going to be updating to the shop probably tomorrow. If it doesn't sell before I leave, it'll be with me in Michigan. But it's lovely colors, hints of browns and greens and little blues, kind of very pretty. Then I used my random number generator and it picked for me some Knit Spin Farm bats, which look like this, that I got at the Fiber event in Greencastle, Indiana in 2016. Not this year, but last year. It looks like I got a little bit of sun today. Sorry, maybe it's just the shirt. If you've been a long-time viewer, you know of the local festival here in my small town called the Apple and Pork Festival, which is a Saturday-Sunday event, and we went down today twice in the sun.
It is so hot here today.
Not fun.
Like, there is no reason to have that festival at this kind of degree of heat.
It's the same weekend every year. It's not like
it is.
It's hot, we can move it. I mean, it takes over our town. Like,
yeah.
A whole section and then another section of our town. Like, it is a big deal. But
even the pay-by-the-hour hotel fills up with reservations.
You cannot pay by the hour, but it is a themed hotel. Let's just put it that way. Like, you can sleep under the sea in a big clamshell, or
full disclosure, if
the jungle room.
Full disclosure, the guy that owns it has gotten written up for multiple things, so be cautious.
But you can pay to go swimming in their swimming pool. Yes,
that's a benefit.
So,
if you
are into that thing.
Yeah.
I hope they use a lot of chemicals.
Or you could do something at the Y.
So, these bats from Knit Spin Farm, they're an interesting blend. I've never spun these fibers before. It's Dorset Horn and Ile-de-France.
Ile-de-France?
I believe that. Ile-de-France?
Ile-de-France?
Ile-de-France? I know. Oh. But it's in the electric colorway, which Looks like this. So it's blues and browns and these streaks of chartreuse. So it's interesting. It's not the softest thing she put on there, though. It's great for socks. We'll see what weight I get. It'll probably be a sport weight because that's about all I can get anymore. Even though, I'm not trying to spin super thin, just because it is a coarser wool. So I've turned down the speed on my Hanson mini spinner, but it still is it's getting a lot of twist in it pretty quickly. So we'll see how it works out. So that's my spinning. All right, in the scene shop, what other crafts are we working on? Let's talk cross stitch for me really quickly. Not much progress, but a little bit. I did not take it off the Q-snap today, but I'm doing a dimensions kit called In the Moment, and it says Live Life in the Moment. And last time I showed you, I was in the, and I'm still working on the. So cross stitch is not my, my first love, so it gets a little bit of work, but there we go. It's going. I did get my first piece of hand-dyed fabric. I didn't bring it over, but I told you I bought another dimensions kit or some sort of kit from Hobby Lobby on clearance, and I don't like the Aida that comes with it, so I bought my first piece of Joblin, 28-count Joblin, hand-dyed by Stephanie. Took a couple weeks to get because everything's dyed to order, I believe. So, and I got it in the toasted almond colorway, very fancy brown. But it'll go with the piece, so, when I get to it in like 50 years, because I've got my paid project that I've got to work on after this one, so.
I'm sorry.
Yeah. Anyway, so that's
really
all going on. That's all my other crafts. Do you have anything?
Not actively right now. I'm waiting to be on vacation.
Okay. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
All right, let's talk about what's in the spotlight. What are we watching and reading? Need to catch up on The Strain. I'm a couple weeks behind on that. That'll happen this week. But I did get caught up with American Horror Story. The season's called Cult. I don't know. It's just not doing it for me this season.
I saw a preview for it, and I was like, wow, that's kind of
they're good. They went there. It's very politically driven, and it has a lot to do with a lot of fears that people have today.
Oh yeah.
So it is very relevant. However, I just don't think the storyline is like they've done the same kind of moments of tension in the same episodes. In 3 episodes so far this season, how many times can their son disappear and they freak out? I mean, they do it every episode once or twice, and then this and that.
And that's poor parenting.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Stay here. We're going to go check this murder investigation happening across the street. Don't move. And then they turn around and he's gone. Mm-hmm. Well, how many murder investigations do you need to peek your head into? Yeah. Stay on your front porch and don't get involved.
Nosy Nancy.
Anyway. So, meh on the American Horror Story. I did finish listening to a book called What the Night Knows by Dean Koontz. I gave this a 2-star rating on Goodreads. I enjoy a good Dean Koontz book. This was paranormal, dealt with being possessed and poltergeist, not poltergeist, but being possessed and ghosts and things of that nature. But it reminds me of this movie that I saw years ago, and I don't remember who starred in it, but it was a possession movie of a serial killer, which is kind of what happened here, and he could transfer through touch. So, you never knew where he was going to be, that kind of thing. Very reminiscent of that. But some of the core characters in this book are the lead characters' children, who are 8, 11, and 13. And they have an extensive vocabulary past me as a former English teacher. I don't believe that. I don't believe that kids think these, because it's a third-person omniscient narrator. So the narrator is in the heads of all the characters. I don't believe that these kids were that bright to have that kind of vocabulary and those thoughts. So that just kind of tore me out of the story from almost the beginning. I mean, I wrote along with it till the end, but it's not my favorite by him. But I finished that, and I'm on to a different book that I've been listening to. But I'll tell you about that when I finish that one.
Nice. I finished reading The Moth, All These Wonders, and it was really great, like I have said all along. And so good, in fact, that I gave it to my cousin for her birthday, which was a few weeks ago. Because we're both avid readers, and, like, we go on and off of reading binges, but we also both feel strongly when we see garage sales, book sales, that kind of thing, that it's kind of a no book left behind policy. Like, I texted her because I had dinner with 2 of my college friends on Thursday, and it was in Pekin, and I went to their Goodwill, which has an amazing book selection, by the way, and I was like, literally, I had to get a cart because my philosophy is you should probably not buy more than what you can carry, Cal. And I broke that policy and got a cart. But I was like, it's Goodwill. You know, it's not like, you know, you splurging at Target, which happened today. So, you know. But anyways, there's a point to this. And that point is that if I like a book so much and I give it to Casey new, then it's a pretty good book. Highly recommend it. Right now, I'm reading a... sometimes I should preface this, but sometimes I go into Barnes & Noble and just kind of randomly walk around, and usually in sections of which I'm not necessarily, did you see?
He's Superman. So Ernest is stretching out, laying next on the floor. He was almost doing like a Superman. He's like flying in through the air. Anyway, he had to be there.
Yeah. So anyways, sometimes I randomly walk Barnes & Noble and just am like, yeah, I'll pick a book from this section that I'm not super familiar with. And many years ago, I picked up 2 books. One was Deer Hunting with Jesus, which I have not finished yet. I read the first 2 pages and was like, I don't know if I want to read this right now. And the second book was called Driving Mr. Albert. And preface on this, it's a national bestseller. Had no idea about it, but it is about the guy that performed the autopsy on Albert Einstein. And so when he performed the autopsy on Albert Einstein, he took the brain and he put it in a Tupperware container and kept it. And there was like very folklore, like, did he actually do it? Did he do it? Are you sure? Or was it just, you know, was it legend and myth? And so, anyways, this journalist, you know, grew up hearing this story and was like, he was telling his apartment manager, who was good friends with this guy who is a famous author, that actually knew the guy that performed the autopsy, and said, yes, this is actually true. Anyways, the author of this book calls up the guy that performed the autopsy and was like, hey, you know, true?
Do you have the brain?
Yeah, and the guy was pretty elusive, and it took him 8 months or 5 something, a number of months to get back in touch with him, and he agreed to meet with him, and that's where I'm at in the story. And so far, it is a pretty... I'm on chapter 2, but, like, my mind is already...
Let's hope he doesn't invite him to dinner with, like, Chianti and fava beans.
It was funny because, like, the guy that performed the autopsy is living in the basement of his girlfriend's house, and, like, I just thought to myself, like, man, if you're, like, 80 and you got, like, a 60-year-old girlfriend, which this kind of is the situation in the book, I'm kind of like... And you got Albert Einstein's brain in a Tupperware container? Like, where in your life did you peak? Like, what is that moment that you were just like, I got it all together, man? Like,
This Tupperware is life. This is my backup plan.
And like, the whole time I'm thinking as I'm reading this, you know, Cal, you would never have picked this book up had you have not gone into, I think it might have been like quantum physics section of Barnes & Noble. Like, I just wouldn't have. It was in some random section that I would never have gone in and just been like, that was some light reading.
See, that's what I tell myself. I get the daily deal on Audible, and I'm like, one day I'm just going to click buy. So I listen to something that's not, but I don't. Ever. And so horrible. Moving on. Let's talk stash enhancement. So, the lovely proprietress behind Yarnies of Texas, which is a new indie dyeing company, Linda is her name, and she's out of Texas. She formerly owned a yarn store and decided to go full-time with yarn dyeing. I had the pleasure of meeting her at Stitches, Texas, and Andy and I walked the market floor every morning, and Linda said, you know what? She's like, she watched the show. Hi, Linda.
Hey, Linda.
And she said, I want to gift you and Callie something. I was like, you really don't need to. Yeah. Well, she started off with saying she wants to donate a prize, but that's coming up here in just a minute. And she said, I want you and Callie to have something and try out our yarn. So we kind of perused stuff, and I picked something I thought Callie might like, and I picked something which is similar, and they're both interesting yarn and fiber bases. So, what'd you get?
I got the Azul colorway in the Merino, Yak, and Silk blend. And yes, excuse me, Azul means blue in Spanish, if you wanted to know. So Linda, thank you so much. I really love this.
So it's an interesting blend, and I believe that the gray you're seeing is the actual natural color of the yarn. So all the color pops are kind of speckled. Mm-hmm. And then I got the Austin City Limits colorway, which I felt was appropriate because of being in Texas. And this is in the 70-30 merino silk base, which is 430 yards, or 435 yards, and it's a single ply. So similar kind of technique, but with a blue background. And I loved the sheen on it with the silk. So thank you so much, Linda.
Yes, Linda, thank you.
We have to find the perfect projects to go with these. And so that's all the stash enhancement that I have. I didn't purchase anything else other than the second skein of that haiku. Oh. Did you get anything else?
Other than the kit.
Oh.
Nope.
So, let's move into our giveaway this week. So, Linda very generously said, you know what, how about we do, she does hand-painted sock blanks. And she said, how about we do a sock blank as a giveaway for the podcast since Halloween's coming up? And I said, absolutely, I'll put it on the next episode. So she said this was her favorite sock blanket, and it hadn't sold throughout the weekend until by the time we were there. She said, I want you to have it. So she calls it the, well, she didn't put a colorway note. I think she called it the Black Hat Society for, like a witch's hat. Or maybe it was Black Cat.
Black Hat.
Black Hat Society. Yep, it's actually written into the blank. So, by the way, here's the card for Yarnies of Texas. And, so here's the sock blank. Look at this, how cute this is.
So cute.
She puts a lot of thought and work into this. So it says Black Hat Society. It's got a pumpkin and a leaf and a different pumpkin over here and a black cat. So this is the 75-25 merino nylon blank, 435 yards, and she generously donated this. So this is up for grabs, and there is a thread already open in our Ravelry group that I opened this afternoon. And my question to you this week that you need to answer, you need to, 1, be a member of the group, and 2, post in response to the question. Which one of the shops, Yarnies of Texas, which I've linked to her Etsy shop, which one of the shop's items most puts a spell on you? Ooh. Do you like how I worded that there? So I want you to go to her shop. She has a limited amount of yarn in there right now after coming back from Texas. But take a look at what she's offering and tell me which item in her shop you most enjoy. And you will be entered to win this sock blank, which we will draw for when we record next week, or next episode, which will be right at the beginning of October. So thank you again, Linda. It was so great meeting you. Thank you for the donation and for the lovely gifts to Kelly and myself. All right. So a round of applause. Let's talk about our current knit-along going on, which is the Operation Chemo Comfort Knit-Along. And that is a hat drive that is going on in conjunction with Operation Chemo Comfort, which is donated to the Froedtert Cancer Center in Wisconsin. And so there's a whole thread about all this in our Ravelry group, but pretty much any hat that you can donate, we would appreciate that you donate in the name of Dramatic Knits and mail off to the address listed in the thread. You can post a picture in the FO thread, 1 picture per hat. You could have knit this 5 years ago and donate it, but post a picture of the hat. You'll get an entry in the drawing. We are going to be drawing prizes for every 25 hats that are donated. So I really would like us to really get those hats going. And I am sitting on a bunch of hats that 2 lovely sisters, one from Ohio and one from Florida, donated at Stitches, Texas. They had all these hats they were going to donate to Halos of Hope, who was not at the event. I'm not sure why, but they noticed our little handouts about Operation Chemo Comfort that we put in our booth, and I said, can we donate them? And I said, absolutely. So, and I think our local yarn store, Les Moutons Rouge Knittery, is actually going to be a drop-off point for these hats.
Nice.
It's my understanding, I believe, that Kelsey, who's my contact person, who is the person that you are going to ship your hats to, she is going to drive down from Milwaukee to pick up the hats at our local yarn store. So that's awesome as well. So we hope you'll join us. It's a great cause, and we really like standing behind that here at Dramatic Knits. So, all right, moving right along. Last week's prize was for 2 skeins of Sugar and Cream in the psychedelic color. And I asked, what is the most famous person that you've ever met? And I did the show by myself, so I kind of answered. Who's the most famous person you've ever met, Callie?
I think it depends on your idea of famous.
Well, in your mind, who is the most famous? I'll come back to you.
Oh, I know.
Okay.
I've met the pioneer woman, Ree Drummond, 3 times, so I don't even know if it's meaning at this point, if it's just not...
Your BFFs, really.
BFFs.
Now, where is her shop?
The Mercantile is in Pawhuska, Oklahoma.
Okay, it is Oklahoma. I said something to Andy when we were driving through Oklahoma. I was like, I wonder if we're going to be driving by it. And he's like, I think she's out of Texas. I was like, I think she's in Oklahoma.
Yep.
But we don't really follow her, so...
It's okay.
All right, so I asked who is the most famous person you've ever met, and random number generator chose number 32, who is Dragon Dame, and that is Michelle from Georgia. So congratulations, Michelle. You need to email me on Ravelry Dramatic Knits with your first and last name and mailing address, and I will get those 2 skeins of Sugars and Cream out to you. But her response says, I don't remember it too well, but apparently Raven Simone went to my middle school from The Cosby Show and later Disney's That's So Raven. So that's the coolest thing I can come to knowing a famous person. So, well, congratulations. And the fact, I was thinking about this, the fact that you didn't really know that you were going to school with her means she probably wasn't like one of those celebrities that really stuck out to you. You know, usually those people you can remember on a dime if they treated people badly. So
I guess actually probably even more famous than Ree was, I've met Christy Yamaguchi. So I met her at a book signing in Naperville.
I'd probably say Ree Drummond's a little more famous than Christy Yamaguchi anymore, but...
It depends on who you ask.
True.
But I'm meeting Gabrielle Union in October that I'm super pumped about. That's at her book signing, and there's going to be wine, because her book is entitled, We're Going to Need More Wine.
All right, so we do have our September 2017 Race to the Finished Object contest currently open. Anything that you finish this month in September, you can enter. And then, of course, if you finish something in early October before we record again, I will open the October thread. We'll have a wonderful physical prize to give out that we will choose before recording next time, as well as a pattern from our new featured designer, who is Christopher Salas, who is now a new... he's a Chicago transplant from Reno, Nevada. Formerly worked at Jimmy Bean's Wool, which is pretty awesome. Mm-hmm. And he is a wonderful designer. So he just recently came out with several new designs over the past couple of weeks, sorry. One of them featuring Leading Men Fiber Arts, and he's going to be coming out with a new shawl in November featuring Leading Men Fiber Arts that we've been working with. So he's been putting some teasers out there on Instagram if you follow him. He is Alternate on Instagram. So thank you, Christopher, for agreeing to be our future designer. And one of you lucky viewers who enters our Race to the Finished Object contest will win one of his patterns. All right, so we're going to move into center stage, all things Leading Men Fiber Arts. If you're not interested, we'll bid you adieu, and we'll see you in 2 weeks when we record again. But I'm not going to take too much of your time. I do want to talk about a few things. Off the top of my head, there was something I wanted to mention, and I don't remember what it was. It's what happens as I get older. October's colorway, I know what it's going to be, and I've given it a name, but I've not dyed it up. That's what I'm going to be spending most of tomorrow doing, is getting dyed up across all of our bases. It's going to be called Trapdoor, which I think is kind of appropriate for October. A little reminiscent of the theater world, but yet it's a little ominous as well. So yeah, and let's talk quickly about upcoming shows. This weekend, my sister and I are going to be traveling up to Northern Michigan, West Branch, Michigan, to vend at the Northern Michigan Lamb and Wool Festival. So that'll be Saturday from 9 to 5 and Sunday from 10 to 4. If you're local in the area, we hope you'll stop by. I don't remember what building or booth number I'm in, but I'll be there and be vending. So we're leaving Thursday evening. We just made that decision, or I did this evening, rather than driving all day Friday and setting up. It'd be a long day, and I don't know if I'd have enough time. So we're going to leave Thursday and get a head start, and then we'll be driving back on Monday. So that's Saturday the 30th and Sunday the 1st. And then I come back, and that Tuesday I am actually speaking at a local knitting guild about Leading Men Fiber Arts, so that's exciting. And then Thursday I'll be setting up for a trunk show at our local yarn store, Les Moutons Rouge Knittery, in conjunction with Corey Eichelberger, who is iRock Knits and one half of Knit Cahoots. She is coming to our local yarn store, and she's doing a book signing on Friday night, the 5th. And then she's...
Saturday's the 4th of November.
No, it's October.
I was just kidding.
So, I believe it is the 5th, because
yes.
Sunday's the 1st. So she is coming, I believe, I forgot what time she's doing her book signing. Because I don't plan on actually going Friday night. But she's doing a book signing, but I already have her signed book, so... and then she's teaching 2 classes on Saturday at our shop. In the morning she's teaching her sweater class, and in the afternoon she's teaching her shawl class. I believe that I'm going to be sitting in and auditing the shawl class on Saturday afternoon, so that's exciting, and be able to catch up with some friends and see some people there. So, but I'm going to be bringing all the yarns that are recommended as alternates in the book of Minnesota 52 to kind of go in conjunction with having her there for the book. So the trunk show will run Thursday. I'll be set up Thursday afternoon sometime, and I will be taking it down after Knit Night on Tuesday. So it'll be there Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Tuesday. So check that out. That's in Bloomington, Illinois, if you're able to make it. It's a wonderful shop if you have not been there. All right. I swear there was something else I wanted to say, and I don't remember what it is. Yeah. So, we talked about some mystery knit-alongs featuring Leading Men Fiber Arts that are starting on the 2nd. That's the Knights Circus. The Scarf of Dreams is what it's actually called on Ravelry if you're looking for the pattern. The Scarf of Dreams knit-along, mystery knit-along starts on the 2nd. And then the Day of the Dead Mitten mystery knit-along starts on the 4th. And we still have 6 kits available in the shop. So, if you are interested, head on over there. Callie got my prototype of the first iteration of how to package it, and it didn't come out great, but I was like, it's Callie, she's not going to judge me. Because I did cute stickers and everything too, but for some reason my printer did not want to, I had to be very ginger with them because I wanted to rub off. But anyway, the kit packaging, I just try to be cute. But the kit comes with 5 mini skeins of Showstopper. in Prom Queen, Glow Stick, Nude Scene, Electric Avenue, and Safety Dance, so very bright. And these are 75-25 superwash merino and nylon, 92 yards each. And then you get 2 intermission skeins. The mitten is actually knit with Darkest Hour and then the mini skeins. And the Punk Rock Highlights is for the lining that you have the option of knitting to put inside the mitten as well. So the kit comes with 2 half skeins and 5 mini skeins, and there are 6 kits left in the shop. Once they're gone, they are gone. Okay. Then with the Scarf of Dreams knit along, I have 4 of the 5 colors. I need to update the green still. That'll happen either tonight or tomorrow. These are all on Soliloquy, available in the shop. We have at the top Blue Steel, Poison Apple, Sunny Side Up, and London Fog.
You know, Sunny Side Up might be my favorite yellow that you guys do. And
Not nacho cheese.
I always forget about nacho cheese.
And I like Rubber Ducky. But Smoky Quartz is that beautiful gold that's my favorite.
In case if you guys want to know, I mean, there's a lot of colors that are my jam, but yellow has been more so lately.
There have been a few other things that have been added to the shop that I did not put in the bin just for lack of remembering. There's been a few project bags, gradients and things, which unfortunately are closed down right now, only because we came back from the trunk show and we were going again. I didn't even unpack the van. Everything that's going to be added is going in a separate bin. I just left it all in the van, so it'll save us some time and energy. But other things that are available in the online shop right now, in Show Stealer, our MCN base, we have Beanstalk, Blue Buddha. On Showstopper, we have a skein of Darkest Hour. On Box Office, we have Dreamweaver. That's our worsted weight. On Showcase, we have Wild Goose Chase. And on Show Stealer again, we have Kaleidoscope. So, those have been added to the shop since we've last recorded. Again, you can find the shop at leadingmenfiberarts.bigcartel.com. Check out the shop there. Again, on our website, you can find a complete list of our colorways. You can put in a custom order at any time. We gladly accept custom orders at any time. If you scroll to the bottom of our webpage, you can see pattern ideas as well as shows and festivals and retail locations. So there's organized by state, and anything outside of the country is at the bottom of the retail locations, because there are a few shops outside of the United States that carries us. And if you want to see Leading Men Fiber Arts at your local yarn store, please feel free to pass along our website and information to your local yarn store owner. There's a tab at the top of our page with the wholesale orders that shops can get in contact with us there. So, that's what I wanted to mention. New shop. I don't mention all the new shops that bring in Leading Men Fiber Arts, but since this one is a primarily online shop along with a physical location, heading out tomorrow, Leading Men Fiber Arts is going to be at the Loopy U. That's super exciting. So, the Loopy U, which was originally in the St. Louis area, was the first knitting retreat I ever went to. They host their Fall Fling, I believe is what it's called. I think now it's an every other year thing. Since they've moved out to Colorado, they're right outside the Denver area. And, they have now a beautiful warehouse. They had a nice store before, but from what I've heard, their warehouse is expansive. So, exciting. They are going to be carrying a few colors of our Showstopper base here in the future. And so show them some love so that they want to order more from us so we can showcase more colors on their website. So super excited, and we thank Sherry, the owner of the Loopy U, for believing in our company and ordering from us. So I'm glad I remembered that.
Yeah. Sorry.
Oh my gosh, Corn Dog has woken up and he has crazy face. Come here, Corn Dog. Corn Dog. Come here. You want to say hi? Come here. Come here. Come here, Tubbers. We gotta end the show on a cute note.
Come on.
But anyway, you can check out the shop there. The best place to follow us for the shop is Instagram or Facebook, which is Leading Men Fiber Arts. And we do have a Ravelry group for Leading Men Fiber Arts, as well as for the podcast, which is Dramatic Knits Video Podcast Group. You can find the show on YouTube and or iTunes or the blog, which is dramaticknits.com. So, Tubbers, come on. No, not belly rubs.
I'm sorry. The show has gone to the dogs.
But now we got to show them.
Here.
Come here, Bubs.
Come here.
I mean, you might get a hernia if you pick them up, but...
Right.
Come here.
Oh,
Come here.
there we go.
Oh.
See.
So you haven't seen Corn Dog in a while. They're kind of a hot mess. They're not horrible, but they're getting grim this week. His ear is much better. Thank you for worrying. And I know a lot of you really miss seeing the dogs, so I let Corn Dog come up here in the hopes that he'd make an appearance.
He is like just... I just woke up.
Yeah. So Cornelius here, who we call Corn Dog, I also now call him Corn Pigulus. He's a Cairn Terrier, like Toto from Wizard of Oz. And then Ernest here is a Yorkie.
I gotcha.
And anyway, now that we've shown you some doggy cuteness, we're glad that you were able to spend some time with us tonight, or whenever you're watching us. And we hope that we'll see you again in 2 weeks when we record for episode 292. And until then,
We hope you
knit something dramatic.